Welcome, everybody, to another WTFC Summer Sessions episode. Today, I have Sherry with me. Sherry, would you like to do a little introduction for yourself?
Sure, thanks, Hannah. I'm Sherry Mossman. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Northern Resource Trucking. We haul bulk commodity products within Canada, but more specifically into the mining industry in northern Saskatchewan. And I've been in the transportation industry for just over 20 years.
Mining. That is really cool. I'm going to ask you a lot about that as we get into it. But
Sure.
help us understand, how did you get into transportation? What was your path in here?
Well, I was born and raised in Nova Scotia, and as a typical Nova Scotian, you move west. So I originally moved back to Edmonton a number of years ago. Oh gosh, 1999 maybe. Um, and then ended up in the oil and gas industry for a number of years, and then um, decided to take some time off because it was very busy and working lots. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, you know people? I have a friend that's looking for a salesperson in the trucking industry." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if I know anything about trucking." He's like, "If you understand people and you can talk to them." I'm like, "What the heck? Why not give it a try?" And so that's
Hmm.
how I started my career into transportation back in 2003, 4, somewhere there.
Okay, so how long did you do that for? What was that
So
like as you were first starting to get involved? I mean, diving into sales in the transportation industry, you'll get to meet lots of different kinds of people real quick.
absolutely, and everything's relationship building. So, understanding relationships makes sales pretty easy. For the most part, closing the deal is the hard part, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
you deliver the relationship. But I did that for um, probably 2000, probably for about 5 years, sorry. And then went into management and started running a branch, and then overseeing the sales for all of Alberta and BC. And then grew my career. Decided that I loved transportation, but however, I did not like that my phone rang 24 hours a day.
Mm.
So I made a bit of a switch in the transportation world where I went into the trailer side and I joined a company called Trailer Wizards back in 2010. Um,
Okay. And so how long were you there for? What were you doing there?
so I grew my career within that company where I started off as a branch manager. Then I took over not just running Edmonton, but I oversaw Saskatoon and Regina, and then I oversaw Calgary. And then I got a promotion to move to Ontario, where I became the vice president of the Central Region. Um, and then 6 months shortly after that, I became the vice president of operations nationally.
Okay.
Um, and then from there, I went to take on not just operations, but our dealership and our parts nationally and service nationally.
Wow. So help me understand then the kinds of people that you're overseeing right now. What group of individuals are you working with?
So in my current role,
Hmm.
it's a little bit of a different transition. I was
Okay.
hired part of the succession planning. The president of the organization is retiring. So I'm only his only direct report, and the remaining employees report directly to me as part of succession planning.
Okay. So then you're dealing with everybody and anybody.
Yes, anywhere from director of finance down to a owner operator driver.
Okay,
My
so then
door my door is always open.
I love that. Hopefully not right now while we're
No,
recording, but no, I'm just kidding. They can actually come in. They'll just have to join the chat. That'll be fine.
absolutely. Yeah.
So help me understand, because you said the very start of your career was you got into sales because you were people oriented.
Mhm.
And now I imagine that you are where you are because you're people oriented. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. I have this saying, we are in the business of people, and
Mhm.
the byproduct is the service or product they deliver and or sell.
Yes.
Because
Yes. I
without
think,
people, we don't need jobs.
yeah. Or anything, like
Hmm.
at all, ever.
That's right.
I like that. So what would you say kind of was necessary through the escalation of your career to get to the spot where you are to be managing all of those people? You haven't done every single one of the roles, but you know how to work with every single type of the person. And in transportation, we of course have all different kinds of people. So I imagine you've got accountants, you've got drivers, you've
Mm.
got probably some salespeople, some marketing people, operations. Was there anything kind of through the escalation of that that supported with making it easier to be where you are right now? Just in your relationship building and the navigating of lots of different kinds of humans?
I would say that one of the biggest tools that I've used isn't something that most people use in the industry. I've gone through this process about 3 times now throughout my career since about 2012, 13.
Sorry,
Um,
30 or 3?
three, sorry,
Okay,
three
okay,
times.
big
Okay.
difference. Okay.
Um, and it's called the Platinum Rule.
Okay.
And the Platinum Rule is the old saying goes, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And the Platinum Rule says, treat people the way they want to be treated. Because how
Hmm.
you want to be treated is different than maybe how I want to be treated. And
Absolutely.
so as you grow as a human and you grow your career and you have different aspects of your life, whether that's family related or children come along, you grow as a human. So your platinum rule changes. And so how you start to conduct how you hold yourself and conduct yourself changes throughout the years. So
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through this process 3 times now, and it's helped me understand me better so that I can support the employees the way they need to be supported versus how I want to support them.
Mm. And sorry, what is that process specifically that you're referring to?
So it's kind of it's a different version of like a disc assessment, like a 360 disc assessment,
Okay.
but it's all about me and how
Mm-hmm.
and you share that with all of your teammates and your direct reports so they know how to treat me. They know how to communicate with me. I know how to communicate
Mm.
back. They know my style. So
Yeah.
it's a very cool tool to help you understand yourself. And then if you have your team go through it, help you understand your team so they get treated the way they need to be treated so that they can be successful.
I really like that. And you said that that's the platinum rule. Is that the
Yes,
program that it's called?
that is the actual assessment that is done. It's the only thing I've ever known it being called. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Very cool. I love that. I have a TikTok page that I spend not a ton of time on anymore, but I used to spend a lot of time on trying to promote content that would be really valuable to people. And one of the
Hmm.
videos that I have that's consistently and still remains to do really well is a video where I talk about going through a disc assessment, pardon me, disc assessment with everybody and being like, this is probably the best leadership tool I've ever used, is just trying to desperately understand who these humans are and how they best feel communicated with. So I really love that. And I think people love that too. And I've seen the evidence of that come back and through. So that's really cool. I was gonna ask you like what your one specific skill is that you feel like you carry through. Do you think that those people skills would be that one and that that would be your resource? Or do you have anything else that comes to mind that you're like, hey, I've learned to do this real well. And if people want something, is there anything that comes to mind outside of that?
I think the biggest thing for me is listening to understand, right? So
Mm-hmm.
listening to hear people is different than listening to understand. So
Mm-hmm.
some people may say few words, but you have to listen to understand it because it goes with the tone and the inflection and understanding the body language. That's part of listening. And that's the biggest thing for me is listening to understand the person that's sitting in front of me or over the phone or on the screen.
How do you do that?
I guess it's just a learned skill over the years, right? It comes with
Mm-hmm.
experience, and failing, getting it wrong, and learning from that, and growing from it, and
Mm-hmm.
choosing to accept the next challenge, and saying, I'm going to learn from those mistakes, and I'm going to try and be better, and own them
Yeah.
to the individual as well.
Mm. I think that's such a significant piece of it. How do you do that? I think that's a really hard thing for a lot of managers to come forward and be like, hey, human, I screwed up. Let's talk about it. I'm sorry. How did how do you do that without feeling like you're losing any of the sense of authority? Because I think that's where most of people's fear stems from around doing it. And what's that actually look like actionably?
I think that comes down to how we present ourselves as leaders and how we want the organization to be seen from the employees inside out.
Okay.
Asking for help is not a sign of weakness.
Love
Asking for
that.
help, asking for help is a sign of strength.
Mm,
Um, Showing that you care about an organization and creating that sense of accountability. If I've screwed up, I want you to come and tell me. So if I screw up, I have to lead by example and say, you know what, I've come to you. I screwed up.
mm,
It's the same thing. So whether you've screwed up and you've cost the company $50,000 or you've screwed up and you've hurt somebody emotionally, either way, they carry equal weight. You have to
mm.
own that and you have to lead by example.
That's so good. Either way, they carry an equal weight.
Mhm.
If somebody disagrees with that, I don't, but if somebody disagrees with that, what would your counter be?
My counter would be, well, you can't you can figure out a way to replace the $50,000, but I can't replace somebody's emotional feelings because
And
I don't
as,
control those. I don't control those. The employee does. I can't
yeah,
replace that. I can't fix that unless I own it.
yeah. And as you mentioned in the beginning, people are the center of everything. And
That's right.
so if they're not there, there is absolutely nothing. I really
Mhm.
like that. Thank you for
I
sharing
work
that.
I work for an organization that I have never seen the tenure the way it is.
Hmm.
Um, we have 90 owner operators, um, and the average tenure of our owner operators is 15 plus years.
Wow. Wow.
We have 30 office staff and the average is 15 years.
That's impressive. Do you have a takeaway? What do you, is it that? Is it the transparency, the conversation, the relationship with the people? Or is there anything else that you're like, we do
I,
this and we do it good and that's why they stay?
I think it's all of that
Hmm.
and we treat them right.
What does that
So
look like?
so if they come and say, "Hey, I have a personal issue and I don't have any sick days left or I don't have any vacation days," go deal with your personal issue. We'll figure that out after the fact because nothing is more important than you.
Hmm. Love that. I don't think a lot of people have that mentality, and that is really impressive to see.
The cost of training and retraining somebody or the attrition rate of losing somebody, the cost of that to an organization is far greater than the cost of giving somebody a week's vacation that they don't have in the bank.
Yeah. 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 I tell people all the time, the cost of a hire is at least $10,000 for a good
Mm-hmm,
person.
mm-hmm,
And that's nothing to sleep on. So,
mm-hmm.
that's really good. Do you have a specific story or a time from within the transportation industry that sticks out as being like a lesson learned moment for you, where you're like, wow, my perspective shift about either this industry, about your job, about your role within the industry that kind of steps out as the top one? Anything that comes to mind for you?
I do. I was in
Oh.
Edmonton. I was with Treasure Wizards, um, and the boss I had at the time, um, who ended up becoming a very good mentor of mine, there was an opportunity to apply for the next level up, and I was like, well, I'm nervous to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, why? You can do this job. I'm like, I don't know that I can do this job. And he's like, well, the colleague down the hall is going to apply for it and they can't do it. And the only difference is he has different body parts than you. And I'm like, okay. He goes, any male will apply for the job, whether they're the right person or not. And every female chooses not to. And he's like, put your money where your mouth is. If you say you're this good, apply for the job. You don't have to
Mm,
check all the boxes. You have to think like a man. You don't have to be a man. You just have to think like a man. If I can do the job, what's the difference of what the body parts are, whether I check all the boxes or not?
mm,
So
definitely. Do you,
so my take from that was not that I have to act like a man, be like a man, was why am I measuring myself against a man? I'm measuring myself against the job description.
got it. Got it. So you were looking at yourself and the people around you. And were you thinking that this other person, this other guy had additional experience that you didn't have? Or what was
I
the
wasn't even considering him. It was I didn't check all the boxes.
Okay. Okay. So it wasn't a comparison of you and
No,
them. It was just
no.
your internal I don't. And
Hmm.
so, okay. And so what would your advice be to somebody who's looking at a job opportunity in front of them and they're like, I don't know if it's right for me. I don't know if it's a good fit, if that's a little out of my depths.
So I'll tell you a bit of a story that will help me get there.
Okay.
So when I was considering the promotion to move my family across the country to Ontario, I called my father and I said, I'm really scared to do this. I'm going to pick my family up. I'm going to move. We're going to displace them. It's going to be a process. And what happens if I failed?
Mm-hmm.
And my father's voice comes in this big burly tone and says, well, if you're too scared to do it, you're accepting failure.
Mm.
So Wayne Gretzky said, you miss all the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So my advice to you, any person, whether you check the boxes or not, if you think you can, apply, whether you check the boxes or not. And if you don't get the job, ask why. What do you need to work on? What do you need to do differently to make sure that you can be successful the next time you apply?
Well, I might, never having spoken to your father, hear those words boom through my head for a very long time. If you're too afraid to try, you're expecting failure. Dang, that's a real good one from him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, what was that like on the other side? You submitted your application. Did you hear back immediately? Were you shocked and pleasantly pleased? Were you like, oh, really got a lot more to work on and it's time to kick it up a notch? Or how did that kind of play out?
So twofold. One, the one in Edmonton, they were just waiting for me to apply unbeknownst to me because I was the candidate they wanted. So it was a very quick process.
Hmm.
And in Ontario, I get a promotion 6 months later. So
So it was where it was waiting for you. It
yeah,
was just waiting for you to grab it. That's really
it's about
cool.
confidence, and that's my biggest thing now is I carry myself with a lot of confidence.
Hmm.
I know my abilities, and if I'm not successful, I want to know why because I will correct that.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Kind of leaning back into it, gaining the information you need and being able to push yourself forward. Do you think that that's why you have so much confidence? Because you've done so much work to cycle back through it? Or do you have any other tips? I mean, driver to boardroom, I think that confidence is an issue that everybody faces.
I think constructive feedback at every level is good,
Hmm.
right? And constructive feedback from outside the organization is even better because they're an outsider looking in.
Tell me about that. Why?
So if I'm sitting in a room and I potentially have a customer in there and there's an interaction, after the meeting's over, I'll say, hey, how could we have done this differently? What should I have done differently? Is there any information that I didn't provide that you wanted? I look for constructive feedback all the time in
Hmm.
all settings. If I have a driver in there, do you understand what I'm saying? Make sure they repeat it back because some people only hear what they want to hear versus hear to understand.
Hmm.
Okay, what did I do wrong? What do I need to do differently for you to hear it next time? I
Hmm.
request constructive feedback from everyone at all levels.
Hmm. I like that. It's probably what got you to where you are right now. It's
I would think so.
considering
Yeah. Yeah.
considering all feedback from all humans. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about that all the time, no matter which role they're in on the front line or in the back. They are the voice and face of your organization, and they know so much more than we always give them credit for. So I really like that. Um, well, we're going to lean now into the myth, debunking the myth. And the myth that I've got for you is that this is an uneducated workforce. Is that true? Is that not true?
I don't think it's true, but I believe that it's the perception that this industry holds.
Hmm, why?
I always look at it like when you get out of high school, you go become a trucker. And truckers spend a lot of their time away from their families to provide housing, food, shelter, all those different things that a family
Hmm.
requires. And the old saying goes, swear like a trucker, like everybody swears like a trucker. And when I grew up, if you were swearing, it was because you were swearing because you were uneducated, because you couldn't
Hmm,
put a proper sentence together, which we all know today that that's not how
true.
how that is perceived. Um, so at the end of the day, without the truck drivers going through and getting their education of a class 1 driver's license, this world does not exist without them.
Hmm. I like that. I think that's very true. So while yes, it is unfortunately the perception of the environment around us, it is not true from the reality within. These people
Correct.
have educations, they have certifications, they are very well educated. And just because we've got that saying, swear like a trucker, doesn't necessarily mean that is negative or that they are ill-informed in any way, shape, or form.
That's correct.
I like that. And I don't know the statistic or the number off the top of my head, but I am working on my own swearing behaviors because I don't think that it's necessarily the best to be doing it all of the time, but I think that they land a punch when they're necessary. And I mean, if anybody knows, I wrote this book named Well Shit a while ago, and I used the word shit because it was for high school graduates, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna love that. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
kick a punch.
Absolutely.
And in the midst of that, I was doing a bunch of research around necessities and the why and how and where to use swear words like that. And something that I found was that oftentimes the people who are using swear words have a higher IQ because they understand that the way that they're saying the sentence with the words that hold the levity, it's landing more significantly in people's minds. And so
Absolutely.
it's about intentional use of those things, but it most definitely does not mean that it is an uneducated person by any stretch of the imagination.
I completely agree. And on the other side of that, there's a number of owner operators in this world that work for a number of transportation companies that have wonderful businesses, and
Hmm.
most of them are not uneducated.
Most certainly. Because owner operators, and I don't know as much about owner operators because we don't deal with them, but they're doing everything. They own their truck, they're doing all of their accounting, they're doing like, everything. So there's no way that is a business owner. That is somebody
Hmm.
who runs their own unit, and
That's right.
that's not an uneducated person. That is a brilliant person who is crushing life and living in their very own way. If I could be an owner operator, my goodness, that sounds like a really, really fantastic life.
Well, you get yourself a truck and I'll hire you.
Done deal. Count me in. No, I that's a little too tempting some days because I love people, but people are also people, and that can be hard for other people who are
Yes.
working, who are learning to do that. So sometimes crawling in a truck sounds like the perfect alternative. Um, well, thank you for that. I think that that's if we are educated, no matter where you sit in the industry, they are most certainly very educated. And so to wrap us off here, we have a human trafficking awareness tip. I was hoping to get one of those from you. Is there anything that specifically comes to mind as to incredibly important or just sticks out to you in the experience you've got?
I think that one of the things is we talk about human trafficking in the transportation industry, but it's beyond that. It's not just
Mhm.
in trucking or ocean freight or air freight. It is in all aspects of the world, whether that, somebody gets lured into from a bad situation into being clothed, housed, and fed down the road. I think that we have to be very aware of our surroundings. And sometimes when it's too good to be true, you have to trust the fact that it's too good to be true.
Mm,
Um, and make sure that you're the only person that's truly going to take care of you, and you're the only person that truly has the right to judge you. So making sure that you are very well aware of your current situation, and don't be afraid to ask it somebody else, somebody different, to say,
mm,
is this too good to be true? And be
mm.
open to the feedback of that.
Yeah, that's really important. I think that with a lot of the other board members, we've talked about some, I mean, great tips, but have most definitely been on the side of how it looks when you're being grabbed, for a lack of better term, like
Mm-hmm.
what it looks like, and it's quick and it's fast, and you don't necessarily know, and the
Mm-hmm.
spatial awareness of that. But I really like your piece on it could be someone that's promising to clothe you and feed
Mm-hmm.
you and house you and take care of you. And then in 2 months or 5 months or a year down the road, that could change and be something very different and very
Absolutely.
significant. And I don't think that we talk about that hardly ever. Do you, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, so if you don't, that's perfectly fine. But do you have any any tips or resources that you're aware of that people could use from that situation? Like not the I can't get out of this because I don't have a phone because I can't contact, but I've now gotten myself into this life where I'm living with these other people and I'm coming to understand that this is bad. Do you know any resources that would be valuable for people in that situation where they have the chance to reach out to them?
So I actually have a brother-in-law that's a police officer in Edmonton, and he works in a special division. Um, and they are opening the doors for having people walk in um, and saying, "I need help," and then
Mm,
and then allowing them to just have a safe moment within a police station, and then going into a different type of shelter. I don't know much of the details, but I do know that um, the police stations are more open to people walking in this types of situations, and they're trying to do the right things to help support these things without making
hmm
the individuals feel like they're doing something wrong, that they
hmm
can be supported in the right way.
Okay.
So don't be afraid to walk in the door if you have an opportunity or ask a question.
I like that. Don't be afraid of the police in this moment.
That's right.
Yeah, that's so valuable because I think that in that moment, it's just a vulnerable, like it has to be the most vulnerable experience ever. And so
That's right.
reaching out for support would be really hard, but they're there for you, I think
Hmm.
is really good.
And they're not there to judge you. They're there to
Hmm
help you
hmm
at the end of the day.
Yeah. And just like what you said at the beginning, asking for help shows strength.
Hmm.
That's really important. But
And that's
well,
a difficult situation to be in asking for help.
yeah.
Um, but understanding that there are avenues for you
hmm
when you can muster the strength up to actually do it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any tips for people on asking for help, this or outside of this? We can bring it back into a nicer, more happy-go-lucky note to send people off. Is there a way that you've done well at that?
I don't know that there's any way that I've actually done well at it. I'm not afraid of it. And that
Okay.
would be my recommendation is don't be afraid of it. And as leaders, um, I've had to change the way I talk to my employees about supporting them. So I have a bit of a story. There's number of years ago, I guess it'd be about 5, 6 years ago now. I was dealing with a lady, and I'm like, "How can I help you?" Like she's going through a difficult situation, and she's like, "Well, I'm good at what I do. I don't need help. I need support." And I was like, "Oh, that's valid." So as a leader, stop asking our employees if they need help. Start asking them how you can support them,
Hmm.
and that
I
allows them to ask for help so that you can turn around and support them in what their needs are. Help
hmm.
create support. That's my tip.
I love that. That's really good. And then as a leader yourself, how are you asking for help from the other people around you? Because there's a difference between being like, hey, I need you to do this. This is part of your job. Here's the direction. And hey, I need help right now. How do you manage that?
I'm just transparent with it. I'm not
Okay.
afraid of it. Honestly, I'm just
Okay.
transparent because we're all human. We're only as good as the people around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't act like a team, then we're not going to be very good. And so
Mm,
again, going back to leading by example, I can ask for help so they can support me as well
yeah.
because I'm not the all knowing.
Yes, I like to tell people I never want to be the smartest person in the room. It came directly from my dad. It's a good quote,
Hmm.
but it's
Hmm.
important to
It's
continue to
true.
push it.
There's
Yeah.
there's experts in a building, and it doesn't fall on one person.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, is there anything else that you would like to say to the members at all before we let them go? Anything that's tickling the back of your brain?
I would say just make sure that you carry yourself with confidence, trust in your abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and you do miss all the shots you choose not to take because at the end
Mm,
of the day, they are choices.
most certainly. If you're too afraid to try, you're already accepting failure. I might have to tattoo that across my forehead, actually. So
Well, not your forehead, but you can put it on your shoulder blade or something.
nice. My hand, my middle of my palm, somewhere I'll see it all
Yeah,
the time. But oh man. Well, thank you so much. Will we be seeing you at the Bridging Barriers conference this fall?
I think so. Yes, just getting
Amazing.
through some difficult challenges here. So I believe, yes, you will.
Hopefully, hopefully, but of course, we always understand that, my goodness, it's
Yeah.
not that easy to get out there. So,
Yeah.
well, we will love that if we do, knocking on wood, making sure that we keep it right through if you actually can.
Hmm.
But thank you so much for joining us today. I think that you've had some really good information for our people, and I really appreciate you taking some time.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks to all of our listeners for taking some time to listen. Hopefully, you've gotten some great info from this. If you have any questions, you can comment below. You can come talk to Sherry at the Bridging Barriers
Hmm.
conference this fall, of course. But of course, my goodness, we'll be back for another episode very soon. So we'll see you all.